Hey folks, a friend of the channel sent me a link to a video. It's a long video. It's a long video, but thankfully she gave me the timestamp that I could jump right to. Anyway, the video, starting at that timestamp, was about some county commissioners and some county officials who had a problem with a display set up at their local library for June, Pride Month. The display was set up in the children's section with books about LGBTQ kids. Now, from their point of view, this wasn't a war, this wasn't a criticism of the LGBTQ community and all that kind of stuff. And you can go and watch it for yourself, and you'll see it the way I've seen it. I'll include a link to it. But one of the things they talk about, and as it begins actually, one of the commissioners, one of the officials, he starts talking about the challenges that LGBTQ children go through. Talks about the anxiety they feel, the confusion they feel. He talks about the stress they're under. He talks about the peer pressure that pushes down upon them. He talks about the bullying. Talks about the great emotional and mental strain they go through. But then he sort of changes gears, and I think he was so close. He was so close to going down the right path, and he changes the gears. He said, and that's why we shouldn't have books like that on display in the children's section of the library. Yes, we need those books in the library, but they shouldn't be on display like that. They shouldn't be promoted like that, because we don't want children to feel this way. See, his fear was that some kid was going to come along, pick up a book. I think in his case, he mentions a book called Sean Wants to Be a Mermaid. So, little Bobby comes along. Bobby picks up a book about Sean wants to become a mermaid. And Bobby goes, I want to be a mermaid too. And now the next thing you know, Bobby's a member of the LGBTQ community, and he's going through all this pain, all this suffering, because we put a book on a table to promote Pride Month in the children's section of the library. Over the course of the conversation, that seems to be the great worry. That these books, promoted in the library to help recognize Pride Month, is going to turn the kids. It's going to make the kids gay or lesbian or trans. Apart from that being ridiculous, there is no statistical evidence out there that suggests that kind of thing happens. What does happen is that children that are feeling that way, children that are questioning, children that are wondering, children that know, they're able to read these books and they don't feel quite as alone. Their life doesn't feel quite as scary. They know others are going through it. They know other people understand where they are and what they may be feeling and what they may be experiencing. They feel connected. They're not as isolated as they used to be. Not as lonely as they used to be. For kids, for LGBTQ kids, books like those, being on display like that, out in public like that, it offers them hope and strength. It fortifies their courage. Maybe it helps them along their journey. And yet tables like that also do something else. Tables like that, promotions like that, books being offered to the public like that, on display like that, do something else as well. Those books sitting there on display like that, in public, in the children's section, other kids come along and watch them. Those other kids pick up the book. Maybe they're not members of the LGBTQ community. They're not LGBTQ kids, but they pick up these books and they read about Sean wanting to be a mermaid, or they read about Jacob and Jacob's new dress. And then they go to school. And they're in the classroom, they're on the bus, they're in the playground, they're in the gym, they're on the court, they're on the field. And they start talking. Maybe they start talking to Jimmy. And Jimmy says, because he's close to them and he thinks he can trust them. He says, I don't feel right. I don't feel like this. I don't feel like these clothes are mine. But I always feel comfortable in my sister's clothes. Now that kid who read that book, they don't see Jimmy as somebody strange, different, dangerous. They don't see Jimmy as someone to be made fun of, someone to be teased, someone to be bullied, somebody to be pushed down. They remember Sean, wanting to be a mermaid. They remember Jacob and Jacob's new dress. How Jacob felt. How he felt wearing pants, how he felt wearing his sister's clothes. Through those books, they're able to empathize with Jimmy on the field. They're able to empathize with those kids on the playground, in the classroom, on the bus. They're able to connect. They're able to connect in a deeper way than they would have been able to before. Because Jimmy's situation, those kids on the playground, those kids on the bus, those kids in the classroom, those LGBTQ kids, they're normal. Because displays like that, because books like that have normalized the situation for other children. That's just Jimmy. That's just Sally. That's just Karen. That's just June. That's just Bob. That's just whoever. Displays like that. Displays in the children's section with books about LGBTQ kids. They absolutely help LGBTQ. They absolutely help LGBTQ children. But they help everybody else who have the courage to read those books as well. Other children, parents, community members. I applaud that library for putting those books out. They're helping to make this world safer, more inclusive, more loving, more understanding. They're helping to help some kids feel less alone, feel less isolated, feel less different. And they're helping other kids connect. They're helping other kids see the situation that some of their friends are living within. It's more normal, more acceptable. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. I pray these books will be read. I pray these books will be promoted and that they will be read. I pray that those who can be comforted by them will experience that comfort, will experience peace, will experience connection, community, acceptance. And I pray that they'll be read by others so that we may connect with one another, so that we may empathize with one another, so that we may love unconditionally, without reservation or hesitation, so that the lifestyles and the realities that other people exist within won't be so threatening to us, won't feel so dangerous to us. I pray these books will be read and that they will help us all come together. Amen.